Hi, everybody. My name's Andrew Cohn. I want to say thank you very much for coming out and seeing my video today. Basically, what we're going to be covering today is four questions that I honestly think that will probably be asked in the future. It's only four questions that I have off the top of my head that go directly to what this group is and what my opinion is, what I'm trying to push, and what I'm trying to do outside of all this, what my ultimate goal is. Um, so before we get into it, all I gotta say is please like, comment, and subscribe. Liking the video tells me that you actually are appreciating and actually are interested in the topics that I'm covering in my videos, such as, like, for instance, my next video, which is campaign finance reform, where we talk about how campaign funding should probably be reformed. That's probably going to be a relatively long video. I'm hoping that I can narrow it down still to 20 minutes or less, but we'll see what happens. Other things, like, for instance, the pay and politician pay and them being able to raise their own wages, as well as their retirement, and then, of course, term limits. All these ideas, they're all debatable. They're all the whole point of this is so we can discuss it. So if you have ideas, if you want to discuss or debate any of these ideas, or you have any, like I said before, if you have any of ideas of your own, by all means, please comment, communicate with the rest of us. I'm sure all of us would be happy to hear ways that we can actually make the system better. But please share the video, because then I can actually get my voice out to more people as well. I can't do this without you. Um, and honestly, if by all means, comment on my videos to continue the discussion as well. Sharing is important, liking is important, commenting is important, as well as coming and joining the group and continuing everything from there as well. Uh, Now that we got that out of the way, we can move on. So we have the four questions. The four questions are this: what is number one? What is the goal of this group? Number two, how are we going to get more people to join this discussion? Three, what's my idea on how to push this to pass? In other words, the agreement between people and politicians. And four, what is a long term goal I have outside of this politically? We'll be going over these each individually. So let's move on to the first question, which is what what is the goal of this group? So, in a the very basic of basic things about what a group, the purpose of a group is, it's a central point in order to have all of my ideas and possibly everybody else's ideas as well, where we can discuss, debate these ideas, and perfect these ideas that I have in my book, in my paper, including adding things that a lot of you feel that I have missed on these. It's in order to gain a following, to create a political discussion, a discussion where people don't have to be afraid about others attacking them for their opinions. I want to make sure that we bring people together and we don't actually separate and create a division. Today, one of the biggest problems that we have is the media. Big tech companies, the media in general, mainstream media, and even then, some independent journalists are sometimes a problem as well, where they sow seeds of division and they end up pushing people with different opinions away. And that's not a good thing. We want the point of America is that we can have all of our different opinions. We can be vocal. That's the point of the First Amendment. It can be tough at times to listen to opinions that kind of contradict your own. But that is the beautiful thing about this country, is that you can have those opinions. We can discuss these opinions. We can debate these opinions. And it's important that we continue that. But the next thing on it would be create influence to push these ideas. By having a group and having these people together, we can create influence that can bring everybody together at a center point where everybody has the same kind of opinion on things. What would be the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the same kind of standards, kind, I guess. It's kind of hard for me to explain. But Anyway, moving on to the next point. Have a place to post updates for for my paper and our discussions. Basically, of course, I've already covered this with gain of following, but it's basically a center point where I can post all of my updates on the paper when we discuss things. Also, I figured it'd be a good idea when we get more and more discussions start to be held. I think it's important that we cover a lot of these things that are in these discussions, especially if they're going to have an influence on the paper that I have written. And I think it's important that when things change on the paper, people are informed of that. People see what's on there. Um, the next thing, which is the last part of this question, which is a future goal of a public records website. So I actually have a goal, and this is actually pertaining to number 4, question 4. I basically want to create a public records website, a website that will have basically every politician that is in office. It'll be very easy to go through. It'll list a lot of things. We're going to go over it when I get down to that question. I also have the idea paper that I have written as well on the up above, which you can't see at the moment, realized. But anyway, number 2, question 2 is how are we going to get more people to join on this discussion? Well, I'm going to keep creating videos on my paper for content, of course, and I think this content's important because it gets my ideas out there. It gets people to see. A lot of people don't have the time to sit there and read a 12-page paper, and I don't honestly blame them for that. They got kids, families to take care of. They got to work. They work a lot. I know people who work constantly, it feels, and I feel making videos like this can actually have an impact and actually make it more um, it can make it more available for people to hear what's on it. And that's why I make videos discussing each part, because then they don't have to sit through a whole entire hour and a half long video of me discussing my paper. They can sit through 20-minute max. And I feel like I should probably learn to narrow it down a little more than that. Um, the next thing would be is create discussions with posts. By creating discussions, sharing those discussions on your own Facebook pages or on any other kind of social media, I think that can actually get people to join and actually join in on those discussions. That is another thing that I think is important. I've already talked about that. For instance, like asking people what I can also create posts. Have to replace where my sentence is going there. I can also post, which I have done, I believe, twice. Asking for people's opinions on what they think of term limits. What do they think of my ideas on term limits that I've put on my paper? And what do they think could be improved upon? What they think could be added to it? What do they think that could be subtracted from my ideas? Or perhaps what is their own ideas on it? And that is probably the part where I say adding to the paper as well. What do they think that should be added? Um, Public activism, I would say, is the last part of this. Going into public and advocating for what I'm pushing. I think getting out there, I'm not sure how to go about this yet. I believe I should probably go to, like, for instance, city council and talk to them about what the rules are on all of this, and basically find a local place that has a lot of traffic flow, I guess. Like, for instance, a gas station if it's allowed. But first, I would have to go to the city council. I think it's important to get out there and get my voice out there. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it on the internet purely. I got to get out there and I got to make it. So I'm going to have to figure that out. The next thing is trying to create discussion and views within the group. So that's also a part of public activism, which means people in public will be able to talk, communicate with me, and discuss and debate ideas that they of course think should be added, subtracted, improved upon, so on and so forth. Number 3, which is what's my idea of how to push this to pass? I have actually a relatively big idea, and it's actually a part of my website idea, which I will be going over here pretty shortly. Which is I have a process, and it takes people from all districts and or most districts. The idea is I was thinking a two-part petition system, which means you'd be signing a petition where you believe that the agreement between people and politicians, which of course I've said is not the official title of that paper and that document, but basically the two-part petition system is you first sign a petition saying that you want to advocate for this and you want politicians to push this and pass it. The second part of the petition is supposed to be a district by district thing, where they not just sign the petition for the paper, but they also sign a recall petition, which would be, hey, if you don't listen to the people, we're recalling you. And I believe that means, in order to accomplish that, the majority of the people would have to support it. Um, that is doesn't necessarily mean it has to go that way, but it would. I feel like it would be a good way to go, but at the same time, we would. It depends on like what all the standards are and requirements are for a petition to pass. So, and honestly, I don't think for something like this that basically my paper, which I haven't gone through completely yet, I've only gone through 3 parts. Well, technically 4 with retirement, but the goals is to remove power from the party, from being able to choose who is in charge, who gets to run, so on and so forth. There are examples of where the party was in charge and actually controlled who was running for public office, who was running for their party. And I think the people themselves should be choosing that. And I don't mean like anybody can go into a party and be like, I like this guy, let's do that. But I have no issue with people joining a party. But for the people who are actually in the party and controlling what's going on in the party, for instance, politicians, choosing who they want to run for a specific district and then going, this is the person that we want. And I think that's why we have a lot of issues when it comes to primary and so on and so forth. I think the Democratic Party super delegate thing is the most ridiculous thing. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. And I think that's what screwed over Bernie Sanders in 2016. And I'm pretty sure everybody would agree with me on that Bernie Sanders got screwed in 2016. 100%. But anyway, that was the two-part petition system. I'll go into explaining that a little more with my website. This means, as I said before, that a majority of Americans will need to support this in order to pass like that. Because in other words, they'd have to sign not just the petition, but the recall as well. But the idea I also have is you can sign the petition, but you don't have to sign the recall. That's not required. Anyway, moving on to the next question. I mean, not next question. I'm sorry. I got my outline here and it tells me otherwise. I actually remembered it this time. If we can discuss and perfect this paper, I will immediately apply for a petition on this document. I also think that I may have to sign for a nonprofit at some point because I won't be able to afford to pay for all of this stuff on my own. I hate asking for money. I'm not doing it now. But basically, become a nonprofit. Any kind of funding that I get would go towards basically distribution of the paperwork, equipment that we would need, for instance, when you're doing public activism, upgrading anything that I need in order to make these videos, of course, going towards my website idea that I have. None of it should go into my pocket unless this becomes popular enough, and I'm somebody who's upfront. If this becomes popular enough, becomes a thing and a movement, and I have to quit work, I will have to pay for, of course, housing or, like, for instance, a hotel when I'm moving around, gas. In other words, it's the money would be specifically for the purpose of this, the activism, pushing this paper. It is not for me to put in my pocket. After all, I have actually, and I'm going to be showing you, I updated something on my paper in the campaign finance part, and I'm going to show it here. For instance, I have updated all political donations, regardless of where they come from, should be transparent and be public record. This means any public fundraiser that is a 501c3 or a 501c4 will be public record. Basically, the point of me putting this in is I kind of learned that, for instance, a nonprofit that is a 501c3, usually the head will be in charge of a 501c4 as well. From what I have read, a 501c4 is also actually a politically driven organization, a nonprofit. And therefore, because of that, it is not actually tax exempt like a 501c3 is. And that means that their donations, their funding is not public knowledge, which is what I believe super PACs have turned out to be, is that they're 501c4. And that's why you can't really see who has put money into super PACs and so on and so forth. I'm sure if you do some research and look, you can find who's done it, but they aren't required to show that information. And I put that in there because I feel that anything that is put into any kind of political purpose, and campaigning, politicians, politically driven, anything should be public record for everybody to see. So in other words, I'm regardless of what it is, and I'm pretty sure since my whole thing is going to be politically driven, I'm going to be a 501c4, but I want to act like I'm a 501c3 and actually make all of my donations and all of my funding completely public record, including how I am spending that money. So, in other words, I am trying to be completely open and honest with each and every single one of you if I ever actually get to that point. And this is looking pretty far in the future, in my opinion. So, all of this can just be out the door for now, but at least I'm open with you and I'm telling you I'm going to be completely honest and transparent with if I ever get to that point. All right, moving back on over to here. Let's do this. So, anyway, I believe it will be smart to have a petition per district, which is what I've already explained. This would actually be a part of my two-part petition system. Now, this is where we really get into it. What is the long-term goal outside of this politically, which is my website? I wanted to create a website which right now I have marked on my idea page, which is basically keep the people informed website. The goal of this website is in order to basically keep the politicians honest. So which is going to happen is I wanted to create a website where you can actually log in. It uses public records to keep track of each and every single politician. It would have a database of each and every single politician in office, including past, so it can keep historical records as well. The idea is that when you can log in, when you log into the website, it'll give you an account page that only you can see, which would give you a list of your representatives, in other words, your political representatives. In other words, the district in which you have where you live, this town where you live. It'll have your city council. It would have your sheriff, anybody that is elected, judges. It would have senators, state representatives, governor, so on and so forth, as well as any kind of federal elected official that is from your district. It'll have a whole list on your account page where only you can see, that you can actually click on their names. It would take you to those pages and also allow you to be able to see. All right, so let me get my words straight here. It would be, each of their names would be a link. You'd click on their name and it would take you to a profile on my website where it would actually list out the different bills, documents, policies that they have voted on, pushed, or were against, and how they voted on them. In other words, if they come out during their campaign, they say they voted and supported one thing, and my website said, you can look on my website that I had created, and it would say, no, they didn't. They completely lied. And the other point is, as you can see here, it's documentation of all elected officials. All elected officials will be listed on the website in its own tab. Each elected official will have their own profile based on public records. Each profile will list bills, policies that each elected official has voted on or pushed. And the other thing is, it'll say yay or nay. In other words, like I said, how they voted on it. The other interesting cool part about this is I also plan to put a link of each bill right to the public record where you can read the bill itself. Executive orders, bills, policies, anything. If it's a public record, it will be linked. So you'll be able to click on the bill on my website. It takes you to the government page where you can read the policy itself. In other words, you can go on my website and go straight to the source itself instead of listening or watching a video on it. So the next thing would be is campaign documentation. When a politician is campaigning for election or re-election, their campaign website will be linked on their profile on my website. And it will also be saying on my website what they specifically have said in their campaign and what they and it's what they said regarding what they support and what they're against. Anything that they said that's public record that shows there's evidence behind, and as well as things that they've personally promised, so on and so forth. Basically, the next part is the two-part petition system. So it's not just documentation of politicians and campaigns, it's the two-part petition system. The idea of the two-part petition system is, for instance, it's to narrow things down to a district. The district here, and I'm gonna go in. Let's pick a random one. Let's go. Whoa, I actually like this. By the way, I actually like this website. I'm probably whenever I get my website made, if I can in here in the future, I'm probably gonna embed this map on here. They also have, you can click on it and you can actually bring people up. It's actually doing a lot of what I wanted, but I wanted to make things a little more easier to look up. And I don't think this website doesn't cover everything I want. So basically, let's pick a smaller one. All right, right here, the Illinois 1st Congressional District, Representative Bobby Rush. Anyway, that's not what's important. So what's important is, if you were making a petition for something, you would have to first start in that district, right in here. And you would have to advocate for it in here. You can advocate, of course, outside it, but you can't actually set that petition up outside of it on my website. The idea is that people that live in those districts have to take up that petition. I think it might make things a little more difficult, but you know, this is definitely a trial and error thing, of course, trying to come up with new ideas. If you guys got ideas on this, please let me know. But basically, it's a two-part petition system. The whole point of my website is it doesn't just list all those things I've explained before, but it would also list the recall requirements. Something that I've found, unless, I'm an idiot and can't find it, I found finding recall requirements to be kind of difficult. And it would make it easy on my website because it would just say it right on the politician's profile. So basically, you'd be able to set up that two-part petition system on my website. And as I said, it is not required to sign the recall. You can sign the petition without signing the recall. And so on and so forth. So as the favoritism of that policy grows, like for instance the agreement between people and politicians, other people in other districts can take it up, and then that becomes bigger and bigger, and those two parts petition systems start getting signed, because if people feel that the recall is necessary to say, hey, if you ignore that the fact that we want term limits and we want these policies put in place and you ignore the people, we will recall you and put people into position that will do as we say. Because the point is, these politicians are there because you have voted them in. They are there to represent you in the process. If they ignore you, they are not doing their job as representatives in the process. So, keeping track of politician voting bills on bills, keeping track of bills they push, support, or against, using public records and making it easily available to all to access and read. Track what they support and are against. And actually, this website does a lot of that. I don't think it's as detailed as I would like it, because it seems, as you can see, if you click on a page, it shows you, highlights it. It shows their websites and their emails, I believe. I'm not advocating for people to harass these people. I say the only people that should be emailing any of them are people within their district. And you should, if you're going to email your person with a district, you better have a reason for it rather than saying, hey, you suck. So do not harass people. I do not support that. I condone that completely. I do, however, support advocating for things. So there you go. Don't be harassing anybody. But anyway, as you can see, if you can come to their page, let's go Tammy Duckworth. Yeah, let's do it. It gives you analysis of where they usually sit, which I actually like. This is an idea that I didn't have originally. And it also shows their committee memberships what they've enacted for legislation, bills sponsored, voting records as well. One more nay than yay. Fine. I don't know what, I haven't read any of these, but obviously it also says what votes they've missed. Honestly, I think that if not everybody can be there, the vote needs to wait, and I think there needs to be standards. We'll be going over that. That's also on my political reform document. So you'll see. We'll be covering it. It's on the policy part. It'll be a few videos yet. So anyway, going back to here. So, as you can see, I said the second petition is optional. If a politician ignores the people's voice, you can use the recall position to pull them and put in a politician that will listen to the district. Each petition will begin in the person's, the one who started the petition's district. In order to get the petition into other districts, someone in another district has to be willing to take it up. In other words, people can't just go, oh, don't worry, he'll take care of it. They have to take part in it. They have to be active as well. And I know it's tough to be active. You got work, you got a family, but in all honesty, this is my honest opinion. I think we've been doing that for a little too long, since probably the 80s. We've grown complacent. I don't think saying I gotta work during the day can really be used as an excuse anymore. I feel like our government's been on autopilot for a little too long, especially too long, and we're starting to see the unfortunate side effects. Anyway, when creating a profile on your account, you will need to prove your identity and place of living. In other words, you need a voter ID. Your profile account is private and will not be viewable to everyone else. Your account page will list all of your elected officials for you. City council, sheriff, mayor, state representative, state senator, governor, federal representatives, etc. You see everything there. Each name will be a link that will take you to their profiles on the website. You can read what is on their profiles above, of course. And this paper is not finished. I'm still adding ideas here and there, coming up with new ideas. If you guys have ideas as well and you want to help out, I always welcome any kind of help. So please, go ahead and discuss these ideas. Give your own ideas. I will come on this video and call you out and be like, hey, this was a brilliant idea. Hey, this is a great discussion I think people should take into account. This is a debate that I think people need to make. So that is pretty much all I got really for this video. It went along about 10 minutes longer than I wanted it to. I hope you guys don't mind on that. But anyway, once again, thank you for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Any support, I appreciate it as well. Please share the video, get my voice out there, discuss your ideas with me. I'll be looking forward to it. Thank you very much and have a good day.